air gue. Hah? Ini sejak kapan ada beginian? Baru ya? Kayak kemarin kosong-kosong aja. Apa gua yang udah lama gak ke Liyue? Iya dulu kosong ini ya, seingat gue.
Oh my god, I can't believe my eyes.
How can she lift that massive rock all by herself? She's gotta be one of those adepti, surely.
Oh, mighty Adeptus, please give me your blessing.
This is top tier in size and quality, and the condition it's in is quite simply immaculate. I'm going to award you full marks for the Sunset Vermilionite item.
My name isn't important. I'm not even here to compete. I was just delivering this for some other people. They should be here any minute now.
Shenhe, and Ningguang's little helper.
Ah, so you're the ones behind this. No wonder. The rarest talent turns in the rarest plastrite specimen. But I have to correct you on one point. It's not helper, it's secretary.
Okay then, Miss Secretary, what do you think of the rock we found? Pretty
In truth, it is the finest piece of plastrite we have. If everything goes according to plan, we will use this piece in the foundation of the Jade Chain. As a side note, Lady Ningguang has rented some dwellings in the nearby area to serve as accommodations for the contestants. If you need a place to rest, you are welcome to stay there. Now, please excuse me. As you can see, there is still a lot.
Shenhe, just now on the way over,
Oh, really?
what kind of reaction is that? Whenever Paimon gets praised,
I've had similar compliments before. They call me an Adeptus, treat me with great deference and respect, as if I'm set apart.
yeah, 'cause that's how adepti are. At least the ones we've met are pretty unique and reclusive.
But I am not...
Shenhe?
I'm fine. I've been exerting myself quite a lot ever since we set foot in that abode. I'm just a little fatigued.
Well, Byron said that there are some makeshift hotels we can use.
No need. I simply need to find myself a secluded place in the wilderness to sit and...
You can't do that. It's dangerous that when you're hungry, you go eat something tasty. And when you're tired, you go like...
Okay.
Great! Now we're talking.
Mana tuh?
Stay close and you will live.
Hi there. Checking in, are we? You're just in time. We only have 2 rooms left. Since this was chosen as the building site for the new Jade Chamber, we've had a constant stream of people in this area. And not just workers either. So, business is booming for me today. Very few vacancies. You're lucky you got here when you did.
Great!
One of your rooms is still being cleaned. I guess it should be ready within the hour. The other room is just at the door on the... Here are your keys. All right.
Shenhe, you should go get some rest. We'll hang around outside until the other room's ready. Paimon's gonna go see if there's anything good to eat around here. Let's buy one for Shenhe too.
all right. I will head to my room for now. If you need anything, don't hesitate to disturb me. I'm a light sleeper. I will see you tomorrow.
Hey! Isn't that Cloud Retainer? What's she doing here? Let's go and say hi.
Gua harus manjat dong.
One trusts you have met Shenhe. So, are you getting along quite well?
So far, so good. Yeah. So, you...
Naturally. Save for Ganyu, who spends the majority of her time in Liyue Harbor. All the Adepti living today are acquainted with Shenhe to some degree.
Cool. So, what's her Adeptus name anyway? Calling her Shenhe feels kind of friendly, but also kind of disrespectful. So Paimon's thinking maybe...
Her Adeptus name? Why, pray tell, which...
don't all Adeptus...
On this latter point, you are correct. However, Shenhe is human.
Oh, Shenhe itu human.
Oh, right. Wait, what? What? You knew already?
Do you mean to say that she presents stiff...
Well, to start with, her problem-solving methods are...
Ah, yes. She was like this all those years ago when one first met her. One first found Shenhe by chance in a cave. One was passing by and sensed the presence of a god's remains. Being of an ever-vigilant disposition, one entered immediately to inspect the... Inside was Shenhe, then aged around 6 years old. In her hand, she held a dagger with which she was confronting a monster that was the god's remains incarnate.
That sounds so dangerous.
When one arrived, she had already been locked in confrontation with this monster for several days. Most mortal children are fragile, both physically and mentally, and are highly reliant on their parents for survival, but not so her. That she was able to endure such terrible danger was due not only to her strong willpower, but also to the bloodlust and homicidal instinct with which she was born. One dealt with the monster, yet she still refused to lower her guard. She even pointed her dagger in one's direction and remained ready to strike. Only after she was satisfied that one had no intention to cause her harm did she finally relent. She then passed out without uttering a single word.
In other words, if you hadn't passed by that day, Shenhe might have...
Not necessarily. Upon one's arrival, one could sense that the god's wrath was gradually receding. Even had the stalemate continued, one suspects that Shenhe may have still emerged the victor of the confrontation.
That's still so dangerous, though. Why was a tiny little kid battling against the wrath of a god in the first place?
Alas, the mortal world is rife with suffering of every kind. And she had experienced her fair share of this, even at a tender... Indeed, it is one to whom she refers. Shenhe has an extraordinary constitution, making her well adapted to practicing the Adepti arts. However, her homicidal urges did not subside with age. Rather, Mooncarver once performed a divination for her. He declared that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity. Consumed by malevolent energy, she is prone to bring harm to those around her. Such is the red ropes have indeed served to keep her calmer and more content. They also seem to have rendered her somewhat inexpressive. It is only by fate that people's paths may cross. Now that Shenhe's path has crossed with yours, please be sure to treasure the gift that fate has given you.
Oh, now Paimon gets it. You came out here to check up on Shen.
Huh. You dare draw such a facile conclusion on the nature of one's present excursion? Incorrect. The truth is that while Liyue Harbor Ningguang once made a bold assertion that this is to be the era of the contract between Liyue and the humans. Well, one is most curious to observe if she handles it admirably. One is willing to be a witness to her achievements. But if she does not, the Adepti shall not hesitate to seize control. Let us conclude our conversation here for today. One has occupied enough of your time, and not...
So, Shenhe isn't an Adeptus after all. She just grew up around the Adepti. Oh, no wonder she doesn't like being treated as an Adeptus. Having everyone falling over themselves to show their respect all the time must be kind of hard to deal with.
Bisa dipotong nggak? Gue mau potong dia. Salah. Jam 8.
Hey, so, Shenhe...
Master has relayed my situation to you, I take it.
Oh? How did you...
I'd intended to wait until you came back before going to sleep, but I didn't hear you come in. I was worried that something may have happened to you, so I went outside to check and caught sight of my master. On top of this, you have been acting very strangely around me this morning, causing me to suspect that my master must have told you everything about me. After all, Master is... very talkative.
Sorry, Shenhe. Paimon had you down as an Adeptus this whole time, but it turns out Paimon was wrong.
It's okay. I don't mind. The fault is mine for not explaining everything to you sooner, because in my experience, trying to explain is a futile pursuit. Still, though you mistook me for an Adeptus, you never treated me as distant and unapproachable. Instead, you treated me as you would a friend. For this, I am very grateful indeed.
To be fair, we've met our fair share of real Adepti, too. Anyway, now it's settled. From now on, you're our friend, whether you're an Adept...
Got it. Although I don't know quite what it entails in terms of what I have to do.
Great! Well, now that we're all rested up, we should start searching for the other 2 items on the list. But before we do that, let's go to the building site and ask Ningguang's little helper how the progress is going. After all, Sunset Vermilionite is so rare. Oh, and another thing. We bought some grilled chicken drumsticks on the way back last night. There was a place just outside.
Kapan lu belinya, Paimon?
Here's one for
Orang
you,
gue cuma di
Shenhe.
atas doang.
Try it. They're so good.
I concur. It has a rich flavor, far more agreeable than those I've cooked for myself in the wilderness in the past.
Wih. Dalam semalam udah jadi. Gila. Udah kayak buat candi Borobudur anjir.
But it seems to be tied down by something.
That's because it's not finished.
Hey, Violen! And hey, Beto! And hey, person Paimon doesn't know?
Yunjin.
Given the enormous scale of the Jade Chamber, we split the construction work into 2 phases to make sure the structure remains balanced. Before we find some suitable plastrite, we build the Jade Chamber's keel at ground level. Once the plastrite is ready, we place it into the keel and let the partially constructed Jade Chamber rise up to the height of the surrounding mountain peaks.
Kalau bisa bolak-balik Jade Chamber keren juga ya.
The remainder of the construction work is then carried out at that altitude. Once everything is ready, we release the iron tethers and
Pertanyaan gue
allow the
semalam
Jade
jadi
Chamber to
begini, gila.
rise to
Kemarin
its
cuma
target
bongkahan batu
altitude.
doang loh.
Miss Bywin, we've brought some new materials to submit.
One moment, I'll be right there. The construction work has only been able to progress this rapidly thanks to the plastrite provided by you. Lady Ningguang is most grateful and looks forward to seeing more of your work.
Wow, can't believe you sourced the plastrite so quickly. It's the key piece of the puzzle. Looks like you beat us to the punch.
Beto, you're joining the Jade Chamber contest too?
Sure am. I happened to get my hands on a chunk of sunset vermilionite on a voyage a while back, so I figured I'd bring it over.
Huh. So even though it's rare, we're not the only ones who managed to get a
Oh, I've got some introductions to do. This is the renowned Miss Yun, or Yunjin, probably the most famous figure in the Lyra opera scene.
Greetings.
These two are Paimon and the Traveler, both good buddies of mine. And this is, sorry, not sure we've met.
Shenhe. I am their friend.
Good to meet you. A friend of a friend is my friend too. Or, as I like to say, a mate of a crewmate is part of the crew. Miss Yun is also here for the contest. Turns out she wanted to borrow a boat, so we came together.
It's an honor to finally meet you both. I've heard much about you. Miss Shenhe, though we are only meeting for the first time, I have a feeling that we will get along very well indeed.
Gue
To be
kira
honest
Yunjin
with you
itu
all, I am in great
karakternya
need
kayak
of this
bawel-bawel
opportunity to ask
centil
Lady
gitu loh. Ternyata
Ningguang a
enggak loh.
question. That's why I joined the contest. Thanks to my father's connections, I was able to acquire a specimen of the plastrite required. Fortunately, it was approved for submission, despite being a little on the diminutive side. Wow! So it looks like the three of us are competitors now! Excuse me for prying, Miss Shenhe, but are you competing as well?
No, I don't have any questions for Ningguang. I just wanted to help him win.
In that case, I have a proposal to make. Lady Ningguang said that the first 3 contestants to procure all 3 materials will be awarded the chance to ask a question. Well, there are 3 teams here. We can split the prize between us. Instead of competing against each other, we could work together to secure the top 3 places between us. What do you think? Sounds great, but how does it change things exactly?
I think I see where you're going with this, Miss Yun. The plastrite was the most difficult item to source by a long shot. Luckily, all 3 of us managed to get our hands on it. The 2 remaining items aren't quite so rare, so as long as one of us finds a way to source it, the other 2 can hop on the bandwagon. How'd I do? Is that what you had in mind?
Precisely.
Huh. Interesting approach.
Okay then. All right, I'll go first. I have some leads on these wonder cores. From what I've heard, the core itself is really not that difficult to make. The hard part is getting hold of the ore used as raw materials. I'm gonna head back to the ship and ask Suling if he's heard of them. You guys...
We will head into town and seek advice from Master Zhang of how...
Wonderful. We'll split into teams then. I'm gonna take off. See you later.
Okay, let's go! By the way, what question are you gonna ask me? I'm looking for a venue to host the performance of our new opera. Lady Ning... Ooh, what's the opera? The opera is it's called The Divine Damsel of Devastation.
Buset. Aduh, salah jalan.
Excuse me, Master Zhang.
Of course I have. Sorry, who's that?
My name is Yunjin. Perhaps you don't know me, but I believe that you forged some weaponry for my father in the past. First,
Yunjin? Stage use? Oh, so you must be Miss Yoon. Sorry, my brain's finally caught up. It's not used to doing much beyond bashing a hammer all day. So, you're here to ask about Wonder Cores, huh? As it happens, I do know how to make them. Matter of fact, I made some for Lady Ningguang back when she was building. The types of ore needed to make Wonder Cores are a little hard to come by. Lady Ningguang supplied them herself last time. I don't suppose you've...
no, we were gonna ask you what kinds of ore we need.
Sure. Well, you'll need two kinds. Start, if I remember correctly, Lady Ningguang sourced her Star Splinter iron from the Mount Tianheng area. They say it resonates with visions. It could take some work, but if you stick with it, you'll find some eventually. I'm really not sure. Of course, it's probably just hearsay. If you want my advice, start by looking for Star Splinter iron around Mount Tianheng. And if you run into any locals, ask them a few questions about Subrosium.
Mount Tianheng.
Interestingly enough, the story of the divine damsel of devastation also takes... I hear the view there is quite spectacular. Perhaps it can give me some inspiration. Let's... I came to Mount Tianheng once with my father as a child. I remember it being such a long climb that I could barely feel my legs by the time we reached the top. Oh, this is quite a trip down memory lane for me. Look at these majestic towering peaks and the gently flowing streams. It's like setting foot in paradise. No wonder the legend of the divine damsel of devastation is said to have taken place here. Adepti wander oft where mortals seldom stride. Indeed, this looks like a place that one might expect to be frequented by Adepti. The divine damsel of devastation is your upcoming opera, right? And the story takes place in Mount Tianheng. Huh. Seems like you have a real connection with this place. What's the story about, though? It's the story of a girl becoming a hero. Cool! A hero story? They're Paimon's favorite! The legend first arose in this area. It is said that there used to be a prosperous village on the mountain. In that village, there was a loving couple who were completely devoted to one another. One day, a terrifying monster appeared. The wife was out collecting herbs and was captured by the monster. Her husband was so distraught at the news that it broke his spirit and drove him to madness. The vile and vicious monster told the villagers, "If you want to live, you must sacrifice a child to me." What a nasty piece of work! Paimon sure hopes this monster gets put in its place! But the monster was so terrible and so strong that all within the village were terrified of it. They had no choice but to give in to the monster's demand. Just while they were discussing whose child would be given over to the monster, a little girl suddenly stood up and came forward. No! Don't do it, little girl! Unbeknownst to anybody else, she was concealing an exorcist's blade.
Ini kayaknya
She
kisahnya
approached
si
the
Shenhe
monster's
sih.
lair, feigning fear and trepidation. When she finally arrived, she courageously drew her sword and entered into a fierce struggle with the monster, from which she eventually emerged as the victor. Her extraordinary abilities drew the attention of the Adepti, and they took her as one of their own. her story became the stuff of legends. But alas, the paths of mortals and adepti seldom cross, and she would never again re-enter the mortal world. And so, destined to grace the mortal realm for but a brief moment, she vanished like a wisp of smoke into thin air.
I really like this story. But I personally think that perhaps the little girl was not as brave as the opera makes her out to be. I'm not sure she deserves all the praise she is given.
I've never considered that before. Opera is always an interpretation of the events it purports to portray. A certain degree of deviation from the truth is always inevitable. When my father wrote the script for this play, I suppose his intention was to inspire his audience with the character of the divine damsel.
I think it's a great story. The ideal story.
Well, it sure inspired Paimon! Let's go get ourselves some Star Splinter Iron! Yeah!
Itu ceritanya si Shenhe ya, kayaknya ya. Shenhe sih bacanya. Pakai vision. Gimana caranya? Aduh.
Obey! No, my sword!
Suka salah gue.
Rain outlines your fate. Manifest! Shine down!
Belah mana sih batunya? Di atas kali ya?
This should be enough Star Splinter Iron. Now we just need to find that Subrosium. I think I saw a village on our way here. Master Zhang said we should ask the locals for help. Why don't we try there? Hey, there really is someone here. Yunjin, looks like you were right. Excuse us, sir. Can we ask you something? Huh. He didn't seem to catch that. Hello, sir. We were just passing by and wanted to ask if you have... Is he trying to tell us to look for clues in the village? Well, whatever. Guess we're on our own here. Shenhe, Yunjin, let's have a look around.
Sorry, you can go ahead without me. I'd like to have a word with this gentleman. If that's okay with you, Uncle Mingjin.
It's...
Shenhe.
Shenhe. You're alive. The rumors were true. So, all these years? I'm sorry, I don't know how to find Subrosium. But I think you can find some information in the village. This place is deserted now. No one ever comes here. So you can rummage around all you want.
Huh? You know this guy, Shenhe? Thank you, kind sir. We'll go and take a look around. Don't worry. Mingjun has no ill intention towards Miss Shenhe. She'll be quite safe. Okay, then let's see what we can find in this village.